I mean, that must have been like the worst deal in history. If you have any examples of worse deals than that, then I'm very curious.
Hi everyone,
Hello guys,
and I'm Weronika,
and I'm Waldemar.
and today we are watching another historical video by a channel called History Matters. Am I correct? Yes, I am correct. And this one is Why Did Russia Sell Alaska to America? And this channel was recommended to us a couple of times in the comments under the oversimplified videos mostly. So I checked it out and I saw what videos looked interesting to us, and I thought this one would be nice. I saw in the description of this, I think it's a guy, the guy's channel, that he focuses on explaining history for children who have to learn, or children and teenagers who have to learn for exams at school as well, not only for people who are just interested. So I wonder how different from Oversimplified it's going to be.
I think I've seen this channel once or twice, but not this particular video.
Well, there's now a lot of channels with this kind of animation, I think, after Oversimplified success, so there's a few similar ones.
It looks weird when you look at this map. You don't see it. Maybe we will make it so you can see it at this moment that I'm talking about. But it's weird to look at the map when Russia and America are so close to each other, right? Because normally they're like, oh, it's here and it's here, like,
Yeah, and here it's like they're almost touching.
I think there was I read it a couple of days ago that Russia had a plan of making a railway from New York to Paris that would go through the United States, Canada, Alaska, Russia, and to Europe.
Yeah, that would be efficient.
I mean, who would go on a train?
It was like a Pendolino, very, very fast.
Pendolino?
Yes.
Pendolino is the fastest train in Poland.
Yes.
Which was pretty famous when
and it's not that fast.
When the Polish railway company, because we had only one, when they bought it, but it was kind of a marketing maneuver, because we don't have a environment. We don't have a, how do you say it?
I don't know.
It's not possible to use this train to ride as fast as it can. I mean, It can achieve like a speed of, I think, 300 kilometers per hour,
but it
or
never
something,
does,
or more than that. But maximum it goes in Poland is like 180.
But it could go faster.
It could, but it never will, because there are no infrastructure. There is no infrastructure that is necessary for the train to reach the speed. Why are we talking about trains?
I don't know. I really don't know why we started talking about it, but now let's find out about Alaska.
Yeah,
you know this, right? What they're going to say, I think.
I mean,
I know some basics.
I think it's for money. I think that will be the consensus of the video. And I think it was during the Catherine the Great, during her rule, that this deal was made.
It rings a bell for me as well.
Yeah, I think I have this knowledge from the epic rap battles.
It might be.
I think she said something about selling Alaska.
That might be true. That might be why I know this as well.
No, all our content is educational. Even not the one that you don't suspect it is. Alright, let's begin.
In late 1867, Alaska was transferred from the ownership and dominion of the Russian Empire to the United States of America. It was sold for the princely sum of $7.2 million, and for most it's just a footnote in history. A question that should be asked is, why did Russia decide to sell its overseas colony? Furthermore, why did it sell it to the United States and why not, say, Britain or some other colonial power? So the primary reason for the sale of Alaska was Russia's defeat in the Crimean War. The war had done several things. The first was that it had largely bankrupted Russia, which was struggling to repay the debts it had racked up in order to fight the war. The second was that the victories of the Royal Navy over the modernising Russian Navy had made it clear that Russia had a long way to go before it could challenge Britain at sea. As such, it was realised by the Russian leadership that should another war break out, there was little to stop Britain from simply conquering the territory via Canada. So what type of territory was Alaska? For a start, it wasn't called Alaska at the time, but simply Russian America. And for the Russian Empire, it provided several things. First of all was the prestige that came with owning an overseas territory. As for its economic benefits, Alaska was a much more mixed bag, which combined with the cost to protect it, you can see why the sale was seen as necessary. Incidentally, the sale of Russian America was broached by Emperor Alexander II's brother, the Grand Duke Constantine, who wanted to strengthen and liberalise the empire in the wake of the defeat in the Crimean War. It didn't take much to convince the emperor to agree to the sale, but now the question was, to whom? Well, Britain was an obvious contender, given that its North American lands were already attached to Russian America, and they already had the right to navigate its waters and trade with the colony. So why didn't they sell to Britain? Well, Russia and Britain were imperial rivals, and to give Britain a large coastline so close to Russia was potentially dangerous. Also, Britain wasn't interested, since Canada is already huge and Britain had enough access to the Pacific Ocean. Thus, the United States of America was really the only likely candidate for the purchase. Russia had approached the US in the early 1860s concerning the purchase, but they were undergoing this little-known event called the American Civil War, and so were a bit busy. After the war was settled and the US had to...
I think that's a good thing that today it's not really possible to buy a land like that. Like in today's world, when you have so many corporations who I think sometimes they are richer than some countries.
Oh, for sure.
Then I guess I'm sure that like Elon Musk would go for that shit in a second. If he had an opportunity to create a country, he would be like,
yeah, then he would experiment
shut up and take my money.
Like on X.
And
with the society.
You would take a globe or like a atlas of the world, and then you have like a country of Amazonia, Tusconia. Tusk would name it for his name.
I'm not so sure, considering his child and how he renamed Twitter, it would probably be named like a sequence of numbers or something like that.
Oh yeah, it will be some pretentious.
Something very experimental.
Some pretentious shit, yeah. That's definitely this.
But you're right, and even if it wasn't possible for companies or individuals, just imagine that you are living in a country and then another country buys the place where you live. You know, there's no war, there's nothing. I mean, the war is no better. I think it's probably worse, but you don't have any option to defend yourself against this. You are living in one country one day, and then the next day you're living in another one because they bought you. That'd be so strange.
Yeah, but it happened in the history.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think necessarily with the purchase. I mean, with the purchase too, but yeah, with the purchase too, because like I think France sold Louisiana to United States, and there were definitely people living there. Because I'm not sure how it's with Alaska at that time. I think someone lived there.
Someone must have lived there, but not.
But I don't know if there
big
were like
cities,
cities
probably.
or something like that.
I don't know.
But on the Louisiana territory, definitely someone lived there. And now, bam, they are Americans.
Really strange.
No, but with the Americans, it's not so complicated because you can always say I'm French American and problem is gone.
True.
Let's continue.
To deal with the issues of reconstruction, the purchase of Alaska was seen as a useful distraction. The Russian Empire was also keen to keep up the ongoing good relations with the Americans, because as an ally they would be useful. It was agreed in March 1867 between the governments of the US and Russia that Alaska would be bought, but how did they come up with the price? Well, Russia had sent a team of surveyors to look for things like natural resources and to see how good life in Alaska was. And it was determined that Alaska was worth about $10 million. However, the surveyors argued that Alaska shouldn't be sold at all and that the governance of it simply be reformed. The emperor ignored this and both sides negotiated until the sum of $7.2 million was agreed. In October 1867 it was transferred to America, and Russia's attention would thereafter be focused to the south and to the west. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with extra thanks.
I mean, that must have been like the worst deal in history. If you have any examples of worse deals than that, then I'm very curious. With Alaska, like it was, he said 1867. So I don't think they realized back then, or maybe they didn't know how important the oil is. And like 50 years later, not even, they're like, oh shit,
Yeah, but
look how much oil is there.
In here they didn't mention that the surveyors said anything about the resources, so maybe they just didn't
No,
check
but
at that
he
time.
said that they were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't sell.
Yeah, but not because of the resources, so I don't know if they checked
Maybe it
or-
was because of the resources. This video was very short, so they didn't say what the reason was. But yeah, like a couple of centuries before, sell that, because why would you need a place where it's always so cold that you can't basically live there? But at the end of the 19th century, it wasn't that bad, and nowadays it's not a problem. And with the global warming going more and more, I think soon Alaska will be like top destination for a vacation.
I don't know how wet it is there though.
Hmm?
I don't know how wet it is there, though. Maybe it's quite wet and not pleasant. And when it gets warmer, it's not gonna be pleasant either. I don't know. I think it's quite
I
muddy.
think it's better being
Like
muddy
swampy.
than being like 50 degrees
True.
inside in the house.
True.
Alright guys, thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
And see
Hi,
you.
did you enjoy the animation, the channel? Do you want to see more of it in the future?
I know
or-
this channel.
You know this channel? Okay.
When I noticed those rectangular shapes, I was like, I've seen a lot of this.
Did you like it or?
I like it, but it's very short.
Mhm.
I've seen some, and it was informative, but little bit too short for my taste.
It doesn't, what Oversimplified does very well, what we always say is that he really gets into the context of things. And in here there wasn't enough space for that.
Into details.
It was more like, oh, remember that this happened. And yeah, indeed, if I had a test or like, exams, then yeah, of course, that would be helpful. But for deepening your knowledge and understanding as an older
I
adult.
think this channel should be called Oversimplified, because they really do oversimplified version. Like 3 minutes about selling Alaska, and like I said, oversimplified nowadays is like, deep dive into a topic with the animation of important battles, with some jokes also, like not so oversimplified anymore. Yeah, but yeah, and I know this channel. I've googled it a couple of times because I wanted to watch some videos about some particular historical topics. I think I will check quickly, but I remember I watched I think Hussite Wars. No? Not on this channel then. But yeah, still, I seen this channel a couple of times.
Okay.
Thank you for watching,
it was
guys.
nice. Thank you for watching with us, and we'll see you in the next video. You can leave us any recommendations you have.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.